welcome back to Milkhouse Podcast, episode 10. Ooh, we've done it. We've
Yes.
reached the double
Numero
digits.
10. Hey, that's the one. I do know Spanish a little bit. All right.
You do. I like that. And today's theme is cryptids you've never heard of and ones you wish you hadn't.
Hmm.
So, but first, how are you guys doing? I'm looking at you, Stephanie.
Great. Wonderful.
I know you've been better. You're not feeling well.
Look at me, though. I'm rallying.
Bubbly.
Super.
You've got your Aquafina. You're rallying big time.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Good.
I am terrifyingly wonderful.
Good.
Ooh.
It is Friday. We're recording this, so it's a great day.
It is a great day.
And how are you, Jorge?
I'm doing good, and I'm ready to go.
I'm ready. I'm excited about this topic. I know you're about to jump out of your seat over there.
Yeah. Well, for me, I'm excited because I also have, like, for this particular cryptid, it is a cryptid that people have more than likely heard of, but the thing is that the story around it is something that like the more of the stories that I found around it is something that I had not heard of. It's new information to me, and I thought it was absolutely crazy cool. And then on top of that, I have a buddy who I reached out to because he lives in New Jersey.
I just might know what you're talking about.
Yeah. So I have a buddy that also lives in the area that I'll be talking about, and so I'll be sharing some of the things that he told me too.
Nothing like a local.
That sounds like a personal experience.
Yeah, exactly. Local perspective.
Ooh.
Yeah.
But first, should we play some 90s trivia?
Yep.
You know what? I always keep forgetting about this.
Do I need to get a puke bucket? I can. There's one
No,
right
no,
over
I'm
here.
fine. I just totally forgot about this.
Oh, I was talking to Kyle.
Oh, okay.
A puke?
We're just gonna.
That's so days ago. I'm good now.
That was so last week.
Yeah. Like so 24 hours ago.
Is it contagious?
Mm,
I'm kidding. I'm not worried about it. YOLO.
yeah.
You said that one.
Oh, yes. Kyle
What is
didn't look today, I
happening?
promise.
I never look. You guys don't know
Okay.
why you would think I would.
All
I have
right, here we
integrity.
go. What 90s 1-800 product featured a reading program dedicated to helping children read through phonetics?
1-800 Hooked on Phonics.
Well, I'm thinking of Hooked on Phonics. Was it really 1-800?
Yeah,
That's my guess.
it is Hooked on Phonics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yes.
Good job. Good job.
Supreme and still in command.
Very nice.
Yeah, right off the dome, Kyle.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you know,
This is going to be a great episode.
I don't forget everything, just some things.
Well, let's see if you can remember. I wanted to briefly touch on the new movie trailer for Predator Badlands. Did anyone watch it?
Yes.
You mentioned Predator last episode. So
I
I'm
don't even-
assuming you're a fan of the
Oh
franchise.
yeah, but the new look I seen a lot of good comments, and then just let me tell you.
So I watched the trailer and I thought, it's just a teaser trailer. It's not the full thing. So it's called Predator Badlands and it comes out November 7th. It stars Ellie Fanning and Demetrius Schuster. Forgive me if that's how you pronounce his name. And the plot is like a young predator, and it looks like it's going to be more of like it seems like that Chronicle-esque kind of thing for predators. Like it takes place on the planet. That's what it looks like to me because they have those swords and the predator looks younger than. I thought it was a female. Do you think it looks cool? Do you think this is an overdone franchise? What are your thoughts?
Me or anyone? I mean, I guess to me, the Predator always has been kind of DNA based. They take the best of each kind and kind of mix it in. So I mean, it's just another adaptation of a Predator. Because I mean, not saying they all look the same. It does look kind of similar, but
What do you mean the DNA?
So whatever so in one of the last ones, the kid was autistic and he was really smart and he was able to calculate things. So So they
The
wanted his blood,
Predator.
his DNA, because the way he was super smart, and they wanted to take that and incorporate into the new Predator, and
Oh.
so I can kind of see how that different look. I mean, it's just like they're saying, human race, we all look the same. We all look different. So I mean,
Mhm.
it's just a different look. So I guess, but kind of cool.
The one thing I will say is that they're definitely milking it. The last Predator movie, which is the one you're talking about, Kyle,
Yeah, I think so.
that one sucked. I was so disappointed,
Yeah,
and I
well,
was even more disappointed that Shane Black is the one that directed the last Predator movie because he was actually in the original one with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
And you're
And
not talking
so
about Prey, correct?
no, I'm talking about the Predator,
Okay.
which I
the one with
think
Paper Predator, right? Where they had the dog,
Yeah, it
Oh,
was like an apex predator.
and they went
That
in the
was
jungle,
massive.
and then they had like, I mean, the action in it wasn't bad. I mean, honestly, it was pretty action packed. It wasn't like the worst movie ever, but I guess maybe I'm just more easily pleased than most. But I
I
respect your opinion.
I am very critical whenever it comes to stories that have been based off of an original movie. So, like in the original movie, obviously, it was a lot of people didn't even want. There were actually several people that they wanted to go to direct the film, but they turned it down because they were thinking alien movie in the jungle. That's freaking dumb, or that's I don't think that's gonna sell. But it did, and the thing is that man, those guys went through a lot of hell filming that movie because it was freaking hot. The conditions were terrible, but they pushed through it.
And
Arnold
Jean-Claude
Schwarzenegger
Van
and
Damme
Carl,
was supposed to be
they
the
were
original.
do what?
Did he really?
Yeah, yeah, he was supposed to be the original Predator. Jean-Claude Van Damme was, but
The
Yeah, he
predator
was. Yeah, he
or
was.
yeah,
the
Jean-Claude.
Yep.
special forces team?
No, the Predator, the actual Predator.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was short. He was shorter than
yeah.
so as well. But I think he didn't last very long until he got someone else in there to do it.
Yeah. And so, I mean, these guys were waking up at 3 a.m. to work out before shooting. So, I mean, like they were doing the best they could to make the best of it. So, the second one was also really good too. Danny Glover did an amazing job, and it was something new. The Predator wasn't in the jungle; he was now in, I think it was the streets of like L.A. or New York City, one of
Mhm.
the two. But after that, I mean, they ended up coming out with Alien versus Predator. They ended up coming out with, and then I think it was Alien versus Predator Requiem, and then they ended up coming out with Predators, which that one I actually liked. I will admit, I
Was
liked
that
that
with
because it
Adrian
was
Brody?
yes,
Yeah, that one's pretty good.
How do you know
yeah,
all these names? Like, I don't even know you. You guys are crazy with all these names.
but it's just with this new Prey wasn't bad. I actually just recently watched that one. Prey wasn't bad. Um, but it's just with this new movie coming out, they really just I think they just need to stop and they need to let original movies just sit and let them be and let them have its magic because with this new one that's coming out, I don't know if you saw them like if you really paid attention to the makeup to this newer Predator. Um Talk about a lack of it seemed like they're not even trying. Like the makeup on that thing looked terrible. There's no detail. I mean, if you look at the original, I think it was 1987 that it came out. If you look at the original movie, you see all of you see all the detail that they put into the Predator and how it looks wet and gross and slimy and
Well, the big
but it's like
reveal back in the original one, remember the predator wore its mask for half the film,
yeah.
and then it took it off.
Yeah.
What?
It was actually
His mouth
yeah, I would
opens,
say
like, twice, like, "Bah, bah," and you're
Yeah.
like,
yeah.
"Ooh."
Well, yeah, you can only have
Yeah.
that clock value one time. It's
It's true.
it's
Yeah.
only gonna work once.
And literally, I would say almost every movie after the first one, they kept on quoting the original movie too. I just that kind of stuff irritates me. I know what they're doing. I feel like it's nostalgia bait, but it's just
Yeah.
I'm just so done with Hollywood, man. Like we need more independent creators because Hollywood just is clearly running out of ideas. I could go on this all day.
Yeah. It's interesting how they recycle the same things, but maybe because we're getting older that it does appeal to young audiences. I don't know. I'm not a film critic, but Steph, I know you're dying to say something about this.
She's been
Yeah,
quiet.
It's your
For real.
favorite film
sure.
franchise,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I thought.
I watched the one in 1987. I'm excited for this one.
Did you see the original?
No.
Okay. I didn't think so.
Did I see the trailer? Yes, but I mean, it's not anything I'm gonna watch.
I won't even lie. I've never seen the trailer. I just seen the memes. Like I watched the first one. Like I couldn't. I don't know. Just
Yeah. I've only seen one movie that's coming out in a couple months that I actually want to go see.
Final Destination Bloodlines.
No, called Weapons. You guys,
Isn't
have you
that a
guys
horror
seen-
film?
It's about left arm and right arm.
I don't know, but
I thought it was a horror film
I
because
don't know. Something
it
came
popped
across
up
TikTok.
on my Instagram reel, and I was like, it was late at night. I was like, I'm not watching that right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I was like, I've got to watch that.
Maybe I'm totally off. We'll look into it.
I don't know about the little kids that all of a sudden they just went missing from the
Oh,
classroom.
that one.
Yeah,
Still scary.
I don't know. I'll probably watch that.
The one where at night they're running through the neighborhood.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know why that.
I'll
just
tell you what, we'll do a
seems-
trailer. We'll comment
Yeah.
on the trailer next episode because that
I don't.
it does.
Is the trailer out or is it just?
I think it's a teaser trailer.
Yeah, I was about to say. I feel like that's all I've seen. But that one is about the only one that I'm excited to watch.
Okay.
I don't know. It just
Very cool.
sounds interesting. That's what I got.
Hmm.
But you guys, you seem to be ready for this movie. So
Well, you know what? It's
I'm
an
excited for you.
appropriate discussion about this trailer because I guess a predator is technically a cryptid. Maybe.
Mm,
So
could be.
yeah.
it
I
depends
mean-
on your definition. So what is your definition? You know, today we'll start with Jorge. What's your definition of a
Yeah.
cryptid, man?
Oh, changing it up a little
I'm
bit.
just
here.
pulling a fast one on you.
All right. Well, my definition is it's an animal or a creature that's not supposed to exist or it's rumored to exist.
Mm-hmm.
You know. Yeah, there you go.
Me, a cryptid. I mean, honestly, the term of it was kind of unbeknown to me for a year into like, oh, a cryptid. I'm like, we're talking about Tales of the Crypt. But yeah, I'm known. But the term is, I guess, it would be whatever kind of mythical creature. So really, to me, it's kind of anything that could be mythological in nature, or you've seen. It could be new in age or old, biblical, whatever. You know, anything that's not basically something we see in everyday life is cryptid to me.
Steph?
Yep. Something that I hope would be alive,
Right.
but has yet to be 100% proven.
Mm.
Right.
I looked up the official definition from Cambridge Dictionary, and it said a creature that is found in stories and that some believe exist or say they have seen but has never proven to exist. So yeah, pretty much same
Yeah.
thing. And yeah, I consider a cryptid like a creature of legend or lore that comes from old tales or, you know, small town legends, that kind of stuff. But I don't know if I've seen too many cryptids in real life. But I do have a story to tell closer to the end of the episode that involved somebody here. And I think you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yes. Yes, I do.
So, what would you say this difference between a cryptid and an animal is?
I think it's just the opposite. The animals we see every day, we
Yeah.
know they're real. There's no
Because we see them. They're
folklore
proven to
about it.
exist.
They're proven to exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cryptid and animal. Well, basically, yeah, exactly. Everyone believes in an animal exists, you know. A cryptid be like, you're crazy. So, you know, that's kind of where it goes.
Yeah.
You're-
I think it could be both too.
No, don't get me wrong. I agree. But I'm just saying most people nowadays like, an animal? Oh, that's like a monkey or something. But your cryptid would be like King Kong or something, you know.
Like the Tasmanian devil. Would you consider that a cryptid?
No, that's real.
No, that's a real.
Right. But they
Yeah.
spoof it up like it's extinct, isn't it?
No, I don't believe so.
Oh, it's not?
No.
I thought it was.
I don't believe so.
The Tasmanian devil?
No, you're talking about the one that the movie, that the cartoon character Taz was after, right? I believe it was.
Hang on. I might be way off here.
Yeah, it's a marsupial, and they're from the island of Tasmania.
Yeah,
Hmm.
Tasmania. I don't believe they're.
What am I thinking of here? There's some kind of
There's
like
that guy.
dog that has like stripes on it that I thought doesn't exist anymore. It's not. I'm totally off. It's not the Tasmanian devil.
There was one, Jersey Devil.
No, not the Jersey devil. I don't know. Maybe I can't think of the name.
I have no idea.
I'm trying to read your mind.
Yeah, read my mind.
Memory unlocked.
Oh
Now.
man, I can't think of it.
Yeah, right here it actually on Wikipedia it says that the Tasmanian devil is the largest surviving carnivorous marsupial.
Yeah, it's not the Tesla. I just looked it up.
Oh,
It's
so
not.
it's a carnivore, huh?
Ugh, they look like giant rats.
Yeah, they do.
Ugh.
So, anyways, I'm
hate
telling you, I
rats.
will find it and I'll put it in at some point. But what is your cryptid? Who wants to go first?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I guess I really wanted to do my research. I was looking for the biggest, the most giant cryptid I could think of, because to me that would be the most terrifying sight ever. It's just be like, kind of feel like an ant. I'm like, oh man, I could get stomped out at any point. And then I started looking like, oh, I got the Loch Ness monster. And after doing like a Google search, and of course, just using Google, because I like Google. I really don't like Google, but no offense, Google, but you're kind of biased. But yeah, I have to make me have to research even more and pick and choose, and let me show you that you're lying to us all. But the point is, like, I was like, okay, it's come to find out that the Loch Ness monster would be the biggest cryptid, supposedly. But that, like, nah, there's actually not even true. So I was like, well, actually, so would I asked Google what would be bigger than that? And like, well, giants. I was like, would a giant be considered a cryptid? And I like, okay, well, I was like, all right, well, how big was the biggest giant to be ever said to be in any kind of biblical text or any text known to man or any story? And it said it was in like the book of Enoch was giants had reached the capacity to be, what was it, 3,000 L's, ELLS. And that, if you Google it again, because you use Google as your reference, that's an L is 45 inches, and if you multiply that by 3,000, that comes out to be 2.1 miles high. Like, holy crap!
Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
I mean, it's hard to even fathom seeing a creature that large.
right. Well, and yeah, exactly. Especially something that's actually referenced in the Bible or something being
Right.
biblically true.
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying that everyone says it's, because most people are like, oh, you're crazy. You believe in crazy ancient texts. I'm like, well, that was here before Google. All right, so so there's that. But I thought that was pretty cool. But then you kind of go down the line of like I'm not saying every one of them was that big, but there was.
Right.
They were talking about how they just basically consume the earth, and they would devour everything and eat everything, and then it's part of the reason why they the flood happened. They were wiped out, but the spirits still remained. And then I believe in the Bible even says there was giants before and after.
That's right, before and after the flood.
But the Nephilim that they say they came from, all right, was their spirits still remain. They're still here. They still wander the earth, whatever. But the giants, obviously. But also in current times, there have been historical records of giants being dug up before our time, like 1900, 1800, before that, and then submitted to the Smithsonian. The Smithsonian obviously probably ground them up down into ashes and bones and did whatever what they do with them. I have no idea. But in what was it, Iraq? When you ever heard, guys, have you ever heard of the giant of Kandahar? I think is what it was.
Yes,
I've heard that story. Yeah.
Yeah, where the special forces were sent in after a platoon or thing of I can't remember if it was.
I think they went looking for a missing platoon or something,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
they
it was
lost contact
either
with.
a squad or platoon.
Yeah.
It was a pretty good size. It was, not exactly for sure 100% what a platoon is, and numbers wise. I know it can vary, but it's like they came up upon this platoon they found all kinds of equipment had been thrown everywhere. It was and just dismembered bodies, and nothing to count for them. And then they got up there, and all of a sudden, like they'll say it was a cave. A spear comes chucking out at them, and they didn't really know what it was. It went and impaled the one dude, pretty much killed him instantly, and they opened fire. And then
it was a giant with red hair and a red beard.
Yeah,
right?
red hair, red beard, and said to be at least like 12 foot tall. Which, and honestly, that's
13 feet tall.
Still, think of the tallest person and add a couple feet. I mean,
well, think of
massive.
like 2 6-foot person, add them together, and then multiply their strength by 9 or 10, because they're going to be able to do 10 times. They're going to be 12 to 10 times stronger than you.
Oh yeah,
if not more exponentially. Because I mean, that's like the whole thing now is a silverback gorilla. You seen that? Oh, you get silverback gorilla and 100 people,
and reels
you're all gonna die.
Yeah,
it's like, I'm like, I already know.
Yes. It can pull its body weight
Right.
effortlessly. If it grabs you, you're
done.
You're done. So
Yeah, I was like,
yeah.
What's even more terrifying about that story is like just obviously with how big he is, and they also were talking about with how quickly he moved
Mm-hmm.
as
Yeah.
well. And like whenever he came out, he was just yelling like a war cry.
mm-hmm.
And he was attacking them. So like if I saw something like that coming at me, I don't know what I would do. I have no idea.
I'll be
what
honest. Even if you were, how they are, one of the most elite trained soldiers in the world, being part of special forces, I'm sure they still probably froze for a second or
Yeah,
two.
they
Like,
said they didn't know what the heck they were
yeah,
trying to fight.
your mind
Like,
is kind of
and then
comprehend.
the guy said we've been trained for everything, but nothing trained you for coming up against something that you not even know exists in this realm of.
Yeah, and then their comrade being impaled.
Yeah,
and they're like,
yeah, and he probably threw it with the force of which I mean,
yeah,
stuck into the ground. He went to retrieve it, so that thing went through him. And most time those guys wear plate armor.
yeah.
So if it's not saying it went through the plate, obviously, but still a heck of a good shot.
But yeah, I would definitely say a giant.
But
is
then
a
again,
cryptid.
but yeah, I'd say it's a cryptid. But also being 2.1 miles high. I mean, think about that getting stomped
Is
on.
it
Yeah.
a cryptid though? Since we
Well-
know they exist. It's
But
not a
some people don't
question.
believe they
Well,
do
yeah,
exist.
people know that
Right,
Bigfoot
but
exists.
That's a difference.
Well, that's what I
Yeah.
thought about
Like people
Google.
believe that exists, but
You bring up a great
no
point.
one can actually prove it. Giants, there's
'Cause there's
records proving it. So it doesn't matter if you believe it or not. There's records proving that.
But if you go to if you try to go to any mainstream source, they're going to literally deny. Like
Yeah,
you
they're
will
gonna
literally
Yeah.
read.
But that's not
So-
the point. The point is you can't prove that Bigfoot exists.
Well, exactly. You
This
can't.
is
Well,
prove-
there's
technically,
records, it's in the records.
even technically, the story of the Kandahar giant is
yeah,
just
it's
a
just a story.
tale.
Yeah.
It's not like a proven
They said it's not been
government.
disclosed.
Yeah.
mean,
I
like,
know there was an interview done, or maybe it was a mini documentary, but a guy named L.A. Marzulli, he went after the story, and when he interviews some of the special forces, they're shadowed and their voices changed.
Mhm.
But they said that they had to sign
An
non-disclosure
NDA, yeah.
agreements after
Yeah.
that, and
And
obviously
they actually had to change their battle report and everything on
Yeah,
there, like
because
they
they
wouldn't accept it.
no, because they took the giant's body away.
Yeah,
but
and then they'd also say that they've found the body of Gilgamesh,
Yeah.
or Nimrod, whatever one you want to believe, whatever. It's just one and the same.
Yeah.
And he was believed, I think, 16, 20 foot or something like that,
Yeah.
and
so it's interesting how they hide.
everything. And that was like supposedly Hillary Clinton's emails.
Yeah,
But you try to go Google that, good luck. You can't find it. You have to go search dark web or some stuff. You're not going to find it. Like you're going to have to dig.
so she was some of the Clinton emails. She was talking about Nimrod, wasn't it?
It was actually Gilgamesh, but Nimrod
Yeah,
and
Gilgamesh.
Gilgamesh is the same. They're one and
Yes.
the same. It's the same
Yeah.
name, same person.
Like the bones and extracting.
Well, I should say different name, same
Nephilim
person.
DNA. Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty wild stuff.
So, do you think that the giant Kandahar might be
Oh, he's dead.
Nephilim?
Oh, definitely. Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
Yeah,
A descendant, far descendant, but still.
like you said, it says in scripture, in those days and after.
Yeah.
So I mean, if it's a half angelic being and half,
there might
human,
even be Christians be like, "You're crazy," but they haven't, really fully understand. There's a lot of
there's a lot we don't.
biblical texts and most people don't understand.
Yes,
or
that's right.
don't believe. Like they just kind of pick and choose. I'm like, well, you can't just kind of pick and choose one thing. You kind of got to believe all of it or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It's
very true. Okay, Steph, you want to go next?
Sure. I did the Loch Ness monster.
Oh.
I mean,
Okay,
that's the best one out there.
is it?
Ever. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you sure he's out there though? He hasn't been proven.
I mean, I believe it. Yeah, that's the point of this topic this week. It hasn't been proven,
well,
but I want it to be true.
Well,
Yeesh. Okay, they did say the sightings for Old Nessie started back in like 594, but in April of 1933 is when a couple went out and claimed they see it. But fun fact, it was 92 years ago on this very day that it made the newspaper of the claim of the Loch Ness monster being alive.
And
in
Loch
real.
means lake.
Yep, it was the lake in Scotland. That was the area.
Scotland.
Yep.
Scoot.
In the Highland
Scotland.
region.
Highlanders.
So it was first reported, like I said, in 564, and there have been over 1,000, close to 1,100 reports of sighting for Old Nessie.
What if
Any attacks?
Nope.
Man.
what if he just wants a Scottish beer? Give me some mead, mate.
It's very possible.
I'm just saying.
But they called it as seeing a large or enormous animal rolling around and playing on the surface.
Whoa.
Yeah. And so when the London newspaper picked that up, they sent correspondents out there and was like, if you see it, we'll give you a reward, which I think equivalates to like 26,000 US dollars.
I'll take it.
Yeah. So they sent out sonars and all that stuff like that, and they could detect something large and in the water, but they didn't see anything. And then that famous picture came out that everyone sees and
Like the
believes.
silhouette.
Yeah. But then I believe it was in 1996 they said that was
It was staged.
a hoax, which is really depressing for those of us who believe Old Nessie is there. So, but I mean, it still is getting a ton of tourists. Like people are still out there trying to find the Loch Ness monster. So, I mean, it's on my goal. I'll be the one.
We've got a lot of places to
I
visit.
know.
I
So
do
What do you
hope
even use as
Milkhouse can take
bait?
the road one day, and
I hope so.
we can do some stuff.
Yeah.
Giant tub of peanut butter.
Yeah. But I think I just assume it's a dinosaur at some point.
Yeah, it sounds like a dinosaur. I know that
So
I saw something about. I believe it was a Japanese scientist that came the lake and he
mhm,
used some kind of sonar, and they found.
Godzilla.
Yeah,
Godzilla.
they're pros at it.
yeah.
And they found like hundreds
Who's
of
Japanese
underground
guy?
caves, or excuse
Yeah,
me,
it was
underwater caves. And
yeah.
there's pockets of air. I mean, that thing could never
Right.
come up if it didn't have to.
Right.
And there's an abundance of food, fish
Right.
in the lake. So
I mean, obviously, like I said, the picture was a hoax, but there's something clearly down there.
What if he
So-
farted?
But over 1,100 sightings. I mean, that's something. So
Yeah, I agree.
probably
I mean,
real.
so you
I
think it's a
believe
dino?
I do believe it's a dinosaur.
I think it was also
So-
it survived the flood because it's in the water. It has every
Yeah.
right. It
Right.
would actually thrive in the water
Drive.
because
Yeah.
it's
And there's probably plenty more.
But also,
Oh,
it could be
yeah,
a lot
there's
smarter. than
definitely
given
not just
credit
the
for,
one.
too.
No, for sure. How lonely would that be? But no, I'm sure there's more for sure. But if you can be underwater as long as you want, like you don't, that would have, I mean, account for so many or so less of the sightseeing. So
Yeah.
1,100 is in one location. I mean, Bigfoot, they say they see him all over, but that one is one particular area. But even with it being a hoax, they said it didn't slow down the enthusiasm at all. People were still like, it's fine. Believe.
They go swimming out in that lake.
I assume so.
Well, I'm just saying like, that's the best kind of way to see.
It hasn't killed
but-
anybody, so
Yeah.
That's why I asked. Yeah, it seems like a peaceful creature.
I'm saying docile.
so.
Most creatures are pretty docile until provoked.
It looks like
Not all.
the Pokemon Lapras was inspired by the Loch Ness monster.
Hmm.
You know what I'm talking about? The blue and white thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't. That's weird. I don't watch Pokemon. I don't think I was ever really into it, but I know exactly what you're talking about for some odd reason.
Oh, I seen something the other day where I thought it was kind of crazy, but where like dolphins aren't like you're not allowed to communicate with dolphins because they would tell you the what that's actually happened to mankind because they communicate with you. It's like say that they like, made a law where you can't communicate with dolphins that way. I'm like,
What?
What?
Communicate how?
I don't know. I must say
What, do they have telepathy?
I don't. I would
I will
dolphins.
share the secrets.
I don't
with
know.
you.
I'm gonna look into that one day, maybe when I get bored. But I thought it was kind of cool. I was like, maybe they're onto something. I have to look into
I'll
it.
look that up right now.
Hey, you do that because I don't want to do it.
Very interesting.
You're not allowed to communicate with dolphins. Is that what
Like
you said?
I'm talking like if you wanted to do like a I don't know. I like I said, I didn't check anything into it. I just heard about it. I ran with it. Kind of thought it was kind of like I'll mention it and maybe one time like that way it doesn't get lost with time. You
Sure.
know, whether it's true or not. I just kind of want to
Hmm.
check into that. But I was like, well, That's kind of interesting. What if you could communicate with dolphins? And I'm not saying you couldn't, like orcas, and because they say orcas don't really particularly attack humans because they have a maybe that's what it was. Is orcas?
Yes,
Yeah,
I've
that's what it
heard
was.
that they.
Sorry, my bad. I don't know why I said dolphin.
I don't want to
But
say
maybe
they
it's
won't
both.
because I'm sure there has been some kind of attack by an orca to a human.
Well,
but
there has, but very
but
rarely.
it's
Like it's nothing
interesting
like
how they can differentiate a human being and whatever. But yeah, it's interesting how aquatic life sometimes have some kind of unique relationship with human beings.
being water.
Yeah,
Mammals and live birds.
yeah. I think dolphins are adorable.
Yeah,
I saw Flipper.
yeah.
That's from the 90s.
I seen Free Willy. Love that movie.
Look, it's on the table.
I know.
It
Actually,
does
I can't see
say-
it. I see the back of it every time.
It does say it is illegal to interact or communicate with wild dolphins in
You
a
said
way
illegal?
illegal in a way
Okay,
that might
nice.
disrupt their natural behavior. Now, the question was, is it illegal to telepathically communicate with dolphins?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, yeah.
It is. So don't even think about doing that.
See, you can't even. So if you
understand
were
you now.
Professor X, you couldn't. You would be breaking the law talking to a dolphin. Or if you were Aquaman, he's always breaking the law. So he is wanted 10,000 times over. You know what I'm saying? Because
He is
touching the
a
fish. Yeah, Aquaman's
abomination.
he is. I can see why. I can even see why the U.S. government would allow him.
Oh gosh.
I'm kidding. That was stupid, but it's true. Apparently, if he lived in our world,
It's true.
it is crazy.
I'll go ahead and go next.
I
I'll
didn't even
say
know it's
Jorge.
possible to telepathically communicate.
So I don't believe my cryptid has telepathy. I hope not.
So it's not a Jedi.
It's not a Jedi, but mine is a Pukwudgie. Anybody ever hear of that?
Oh, what?
Yes, I
Pukwudgie.
have heard of that.
Yeah. The Miami Indians called them Paisa, and they're also called little people of the forest. And guess what? They originated in Indiana and several other states. So
How do they know this?
exactly. So they're native to Indiana, specifically Grant County, Indiana.
What?
And yeah, so there is a festival, or not quite a festival, but Mississinawa 1812. It's a reenactment. Have you guys ever been to that?
I have.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I've been to that. It's very cool. And on the property, I know Jorge and I have discussed this.
Yes.
There are legends and tales and lore of little people. These Pukwudgies or little people that live back in the forest. Now, I've heard several stories throughout my short life, but the nickname for it is Hobbitland. Jorge, do you remember talking about this?
I do. I remember us even like
Yeah.
planning on going over there, and we never got to.
We probably should at some point, but I know there's a lot of criminal activity that goes on back there. There is an Indian burial ground, which probably has a lot to do with it. But my sister actually went back there when she was newly married. This is several years ago.
That's so weird. Just like, I guess go back there.
Yeah, we heard the tales of Hobbitland. I think associating Hobbit with Hobbit people, but basically her and her husband at the time and several other friends went back there just with their cell phone lights. And this was late at night. And she said they drove, they parked, they went through a gate, and then they somehow knew where this tree was. So they found the tree, right? From her lips, this is what she said what happened. It was pitch black because remember, there's not a lot of light pollution back there except what you get from the stars and the moon. And she said that they got close to the tree and suddenly they heard rustling in the tree. She said, I asked her, I was like, how tall do you think the tree was? She's like, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 feet tall. It was pretty big. And she said she heard rustling on the tree. And then what they could see with their eyes, this big, like black object falls and then hits the ground in front of them. And then immediately starts like bipedal, like 2 feet sprinting at them. They just, yeah, exactly. They freak out and just run. Their natural instinct, they just panic and run. They run for their lives. And they run back to the car. No one saw what it actually was. And they were shooken up. I don't know what it was. I don't know what to think about it. I grilled her pretty hard about what her thoughts were, but she said she didn't know. So it kind of goes along with the tale. And Steve-O, who we had on a couple episodes back,
Yeah,
he said
Steve-O.
he has heard tales of Hobbitland back in the day as well. So it's I
I dream of Frodo.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I guess the rumor is too that these creatures, these little people, live underneath the tree, and they used to battle with the Miami Indians that were back there. So,
So
How do they get
Miami's
out of the tree?
great guy.
what's that?
How do they get out of the tree?
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question.
It was probably the Keebler elf.
I bet it was.
They bring you.
It
Probably
makes
thought you were
sense.
trying to come after his cookies.
It was a cookie monster.
Makes sense.
What are all of these people doing
Fascinating.
here?
Jorge.
But they do have like these naturally formed caves from the water back there. I think they're nicknamed the Seven Pillars, and you can go back there and explore. But there's just a lot of, I guess, supernatural, creepy stuff back there. I know there's been some murders, but that's criminal related. But
Right. But you said it was Indian burial land.
there
right?
is an Indian burial ground,
Like
yeah.
that.
Because when you go to the Mississauga 8 and 12, I mean, it's awesome. I know
It
that
is.
they're moving that event now to some other property because they
Mhm.
actually had a dispute with.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's so stupid.
yeah. So it's a beautiful property, but
Yeah.
all the actors involved, the reenactment. But so this year, whenever that is, I think it's close to the fall or in the
Mhm.
fall.
It's usually
It's
October.
somewhere else, but anyways, you can look at. I will link the article online. It's called occultdetective.com. It says Bob Freeman, occult detective, and he wrote his own article. I'm assuming, I think he went back there, but he's got a map. He's got some pictures that talks about this, including the Paisa, these little people. So I will link it if you want to check it out. Very interesting.
Yeah.
That is cool. I didn't know that.
That's
Good
really
idea.
fun, and we do have to go there at some point because like
Absolutely.
that
Well,
was a really
unfortunately,
big
there's only like
topic.
a time. It's a time constricted space. So, you only have like 5 days or something goes on. Is that right?
Well, it's not there anymore. Remember?
Well, right. But what I'm saying is like the event is that what you're talking about, Jorge, right?
No,
No, he's
me
talking
and
about
James were.
going
Oh,
back
okay.
there.
I was
Yeah,
talking about how
we
me and James were like legitimately at one. It was like a big thing. Like we were like, man, we got to go back there. I mean, I remember us planning how we were going to do it, what we're going to take with us, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Now, can you remember like if your sister had said like if it took off on 2 legs, if it took off on 4 legs?
Yeah, bipedal. She said it was 2. Like this heavy object fell from the top of the tree, hit the
Okay.
ground, and like she said it was like a split, like boom, and then like immediately it was on the
Okay.
feet running at her. I don't know
No,
any
that-
human being that can drop 30 feet and immediately
Yeah.
start running.
Right. Or
Yeah.
what animal is going? What
Animal?
animal is going to take off on 2 legs?
Yeah, but she swears by it.
She
And,
didn't send him
I
to
believe
boot
her.
camp either. That's sad. It's anytime something
Yeah.
comes at you, boot camp.
The worst part about it is that you have your cell phone, flashlight, and no weapons. Jorge and
Yeah.
I were.
I can see that going bad.
We have experience. We would be armed to protect ourselves.
Absolutely.
We even had a
from the Keebler elf.
Yeah.
He's coming,
I
guys.
think we even had a
for
plan
coo-
if
You
we
should-
saw something, how we
guns and cookies, guys.
We would
Guns
get
and
out.
cookies.
I think what probably would have made the situation a little less terrifying is if like you heard that smack
Mhm.
and then you just hear
His knees were
oh my gosh. You just start taking off and running.
Oh man,
Oh, that would have been a good one.
that's pretty good. But anyways, on to you, Jorge.
Oh.
What's your cryptid, man?
Well, so before I tell you my cryptid, I'm just gonna tell. Well, okay, it's the Jersey Devil.
Oh,
Oh.
I have to give a shout out to my buddy Shane. Little thing, he's from New Jersey.
No,
Just a
Georgia.
little background about Shane. He and I actually met in basic training. So we were actually how we met was actually kind of interesting. It was actually kind of funny. So like we were at the airport. I think we were in Georgia, and we were at the Georgia airport. We're getting ready to go to Fort Jackson, South Carolina for basic training. And at that time, I was really big into dipping and things like that. And I remember he was sitting down, and I knew that once I got to basic training, that I was not going to have tobacco for a long time. So I remember he was sitting down, and there was like a tobacco can like sitting like super close to him. And I was like, "Hey man, is that yours? And if so, can I have a pinch?" And he was like, "That's not mine. I don't know whose that is." And so I was like, "It's mine now." So he and I were sharing a dip and talking about like where we were from and everything. And then he and I just ended up bonding like right off the bat. And unfortunately, he was in a different platoon than me, but he and I have that was like 2015. So he and I have kept in very close contact to this day. So about 10 years now. So really good friend of mine. He's like a brother to me. So shout out to you, Shane. Love you, dude.
Love you, Shane.
So
Shane.
the Jersey Devil. I'm going to take us back to the legend. So, the legend is from Pine Barrens, New Jersey, which is in southern New Jersey, and it traces back to the early 1700s involving a woman known as Mother Leeds. And according to the legend, Mother Leeds had 12 children, and she already had a really big family. And when she became pregnant with her 13th child,
Dang.
she placed a curse out of frustration saying, "Let it be the devil." So she's a terrible mom.
No kidding.
Yeah, I don't think she said let it be. I don't think it was at that time.
Yeah.
For her.
So on the night that the child was born, the baby appeared normal at first, but then quickly it transformed into a hideous creature. It grew hooves, a goat's head, or maybe in other stories, a horse's head. It had bat-like wings, a forked tail, and let out a blood-curdling screech before flying up the chimney and into the woods. And in other versions of this legend,
Krampus?
Mother Leeds was actually a witch, and the father was actually the devil.
Interesting.
So
It
a little
kind of
bit
has
of
those Baphomet features. You know,
yeah,
like
yeah.
the head has got to be some kind of animal thing, and
hmm
Yeah.
So, and the Jersey Devil has absolutely made a really big impact in New Jersey. I mean, you've got it became a statewide symbol. It's resulted in their hockey team naming themselves the New Jersey Devils,
Mhm.
and it's even been referenced in a couple movies such as The Barrens and Carney. And there's ghost hunters and cryptozoologists who still organize expeditions into the Barrens to look for this thing.
So, what are the Barrens?
Pine Barrens. That's actually I think it's the town, or let me see.
Pine Barrens.
I think of World of Warcraft again. There's a place called the Barrens.
Yeah,
Pretty barren. There's not
pretty
much
barren.
there.
It's not a lot going on there.
Yeah.
It's barren. He's got the Jersey Devil.
That Jersey Devil. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's like so I guess it's like just like a forest area. I don't think there I know that back then there was a lot of people that like lived out there, but I don't think it's like a city or a town. It's in like an actual just forestry kind of area.
They'll give it enough time and government might burn it down. That's how they use eradicate
Or they
everything.
know already, Kyle.
Are they building a smart city in that area? just checking for a friend.
Yeah. So there was a lot of stuff that I looked into on this topic or on this particular cryptid, and I didn't even realize that it was a lot bigger than what I thought. I thought that it was like I had seen things on like the History Channel and things like that where people were talking about it and talking about like their experiences and stuff, but I didn't realize that like there was more to it. So I'm very, very excited to get more into that.
It kind of also looks like a kangaroo.
Let me see. Yeah, the wings.
Yeah.
So
Legs. Look at
Definitely
those.
Baphomet
The
looking.
what
legs
is
and the tail.
what is Shane? So did Shane have a sighting or something about this? About the Jersey Devil?
So okay. So for one, he was actually in Fort Dix, New Jersey. He was it was like somewhere in like I think it was probably around 2015, 2016. It was definitely after we had gotten out of basic training and all that stuff. Um but yeah, he had had an account where he saw something interesting. But for one thing, before I go into that, one thing he told me is he said, "You do not go hiking alone in the Pine Barrens alone because people, especially at night," and he said because people will go missing. Um, there was a couple. a married couple. It was a few years back where it was a husband and wife. They were in their 50s and they went hiking out there and they went missing. And then about a week later, they were found, but they were holding hands and they were laying on their backs and they were deceased. He also told me that it's really just a creepy place in general. It's just like eerie if you ever go there. But on his account, so he was doing drill in Fort Dix. And then during drill, he said that it was routine that they get woken up twice a night to fill these generators. And around them, they have these HESCO barriers, which are canvas bags that are surrounded with metal fencing. And they're like filled with sand and they're about waist high. I think he had told me that they had them stacked. So while they were outside filling these generators, they see this flash of light out in the distance. And so to get a better look, they climbed on these barriers and they saw there's this open field with a wood line, and he observed super bright lights pulsating at the edge of the woods. And he observed this white dot just traveling across the wood line, and it was just going back and forth and back and forth until it just suddenly disappeared.
It sounds like ball lightning.
Yeah, it odd, but he ended up he was with somebody while this was happening, and so they actually went around telling people what they had just seen. And at first, nobody had believed them, but then people kind of started being like, "Yeah." But then his first sergeant pulled him aside and told him that where their location was, it used to be a German POW camp. So, that I thought that was interesting, but
brought something with him.
Yeah, odd.
Very odd. Yeah. Go ahead, Jorge. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say the white that they saw, that white light, I think is similar to another account that I have on here that I'll share with you guys here in a little bit. What were you gonna say, James?
If any local people tell you, a certain area of a town or something like the Pine Barrens, like don't go in there, just gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Well, it's kind of like Skinwalker Ranch. They're like, okay, you don't go, no one go there, or ancient Indian. Anytime you see like ancient Indian burial grounds, it's just bad. Like it's just like bad. Like anything they tell you, like you don't have to be superstitious or whatever. You just kind of know, and people like don't believe in the Bible or whatever. Like, okay, well, you believe in something, but but you're like,
that's right.
I mean, all right, whatever.
Yeah. There are things that aren't always seen that can be dangerous.
Well, there's things that even it says the Nephilim spirits are there. You can't see them, but they're still around. So you know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not even saying that's it, but to me, I look everything towards that way. But go ahead.
Just a side observation or note here. It's like, what are demons, right? Are demons and fallen angels the same? No, I think demons are the disembodied spirits of Nephilim.
Yeah.
Right. Because they're supernatural beings anyways.
Right.
Since they're half
angelic. They're not dead yet. They're not in the lake of fire yet.
Yeah, that's right. So,
yeah.
But, well, you do also have to remember that the devil did take a significant amount of angels that followed him to heaven.
Yeah. A third.
Exactly.
Followed him from heaven. Yeah. Sorry.
So they cause a lot of damage.
Well, it was 200 angels, which was there was 200 from the book of Enoch that were cast out. They formed a brood that bred with man. You know what I'm saying? That's why the giants were thing. But also that would create different types of things. There were minotaurs, men, beasts. So like, they're saying that some of those couldn't have possibly, or even happened nowadays. It could have been man-made. Like you really don't even know what we're capable of. I mean, the possibility, because they're only going to give us the information that we have. So really, you're open for interpretation to how something gets made. Really,
yeah. I even heard something the other day where they said, "Well, what happened to the women that had children with the angels?" Well, this one said that that's what sirens are.
Oh,
yeah, isn't that interesting? Because you always wonder, well, what happened to the mothers?
Well, they did die in birth, but they turned into siren.
I would think so, but what if they didn't. They were cursed or something. I don't know.
Yeah, they probably were cursed.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting how
Like in
those.
your God of War, when you go down to the God of, when you go down to the realm of Hades, in other
Yeah.
words, you hear sirens, you just hear them echoes and singing in the thing, and it's probably something
So
similar,
a lot of the what would I call it? Symbolism nowadays exist. So
as above, so below.
that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Starbucks, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what that?
It's a siren.
It's a siren, right?
Mhm.
They say, "Oh, it's a mermaid." It's a siren. So I
Yeah.
always joke my wife, whenever we pass a Starbucks, I'm like, "Is it calling to you?"
She's like, it
Frappuccino.
is.
A cold brew.
What
And you're
was that
like,
drink called again? Dr. Dairy
I mean,
Queen?
I can't hear it, but she probably hears the, the
Yeah, it's real.
singing.
Yeah.
It's luring
It's
her in
singing
for
to
some
me.
coffee. Yeah.
And it's always women too. I gotta have my Starbucks. Men are like, are you paying $6
I'm
a
like, I
drink?
ain't paying $8 for that.
You're
But I usually don't.
crazy.
We have coffee at home. But I mean, that brings up to the next question I had. So, are cryptid natural beasts made by God in nature, or are they offspring of something else? I think we kind of already answered it, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you're right. We kind of did just that. I'm sorry.
So I believe, I know the Book of Enoch mentions it. I'm sorry, I can't quote the exact words right now, but there's nothing that would stop these fallen angels from mating with women. That they mated with animals too.
Well,
I think that's
how it was. There was 200, and they consisted. There was 10 liters or 20 liters of 10.
Mhm.
So, and then each of them had basically a role, what they taught this, that, and whatever to
Mhm.
everyone. And like I said, I've read it, but like I said, I don't know each word for word like you're saying. But they all had their assigned roles, but they also cursed themselves. And then
Mhm.
it's basically a curse, like a pack saying, "You're going to go down. We're all going to go down together."
That's right. Yeah. Well,
so-
they already agree with that when they
Yeah.
tried to rebel against
Yeah.
God.
But
that's where I think all the lore comes from minotaurs and fairies. They're all offspring of these.
But the biggest thing in discrepancy with the Book of Enoch is people were going to say that's not canonized in your KJV or whatever that. I'm like, well, if my Ethiopia Bible, it's in there, and it predates any of those.
Right.
It's actually the oldest known form of the Bible, and I believe that over. Like you just said, yeah. I mean,
Well, the Book of Enoch is referenced in the Bible.
Well, yeah, it is referenced. Enoch is referenced in the Bible,
Yes.
right? Yeah, the Book of Enoch. I haven't read everything.
Yeah.
But there's like 150 some odd books, so I mean,
Yeah,
it's a lot.
makes you wonder.
It's huge.
But for me personally, that's not hard to believe. I think of all the lore around the world, everyone has giants. Everyone has
There's have
fairies
dragons.
and dragons. I mean,
Agreed.
how could one? It's like a game of telephone, but it all lines up
Mhm.
for centuries.
I will say this. I definitely believe that some cryptids absolutely fell from under like what you're talking about, Kyle. Like I definitely think that from the from the mating, I guess you could say, like with humans or maybe animals from like a spiritual aspect, absolutely. But I also think that maybe some could potentially be man-made.
Oh, I do.
Oh,
too,
yeah,
for sure.
absolutely.
Especially with
Yeah.
all knowledge, they definitely the gene
Oh, yeah.
splicing, like, yeah, definitely.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
gonna say-
CRISPR.
yeah.
Look what we talked about what did we talk about the other day?
We were just talking about predator.
Oh, the dire wolves.
Dire
They're
wolves,
using
yes,
CRISPR
gene-
technology. Yeah,
yeah. They're just
Yeah.
splicing with whatever.
that's
and-
right. Yeah.
Yeah. And even like let's say for instance like Goat Man.
Yeah.
I could believe that would have to be a man-made thing. But
Mhm.
it could
Oh, yeah.
it
definitely
very
be
well
man-made.
could be
Oh, I think you're right.
know,
It's all the above.
It would be
yeah.
considered an
Yeah.
abomination by any other standards.
Yes.
yeah.
That's right. It's all
Even the dire wolves now are considered an abomination.
because they're technically extinct.
Yeah.
And whatever this is probably not the exact thing anyways. But I remember seeing, I can't remember where the interview came from, but it was I believe it was a pastor interviewing a Christian scientist, and he asked them about genetics and like transhumanism. So she said, "So what would happen?" I think he talked about, can a human being mix with a dog, so like a chimera type person, if I have salvation? And the scientist made the point, when Christ died, he died for man. He did not die for
Mhm.
hybrids.
Exactly.
He died for man. His blood was shed for sin, just like the line of Adam all the way down to Christ was a pure bloodline.
Well, and also, bestiality is a sin.
Bestiality, that's right. It's
so
a total
it's a
sin.
little bit hard
But
to.
he asked them, do you think these things have been done? And he says, oh, absolutely. They've been done. And he says, why do you think they do that? And he's like, because they can. That's why.
Mhm.
It's the sin nature. They can and they
Yeah.
will.
Mhm.
And just like what
Right.
they're doing. Yeah. God only knows what happens behind underground or whatever.
It's the only thing that makes sense, really. I mean, because you can. I mean, it's not really that hard to dive and make those connections. But if you put those blockers in your head where you don't, I mean,
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
I mean, once you you're like, oh no, like, but if you actually start and think logically, it's the only way anything really makes sense. in this
Well, I was
world.
actually watching a video a while back, like this was like several years ago, and like I guess there were scientists that had actually mixed human DNA with a uh, monkey DNA, or I think it
Yeah.
was chimp DNA actually, and like they actually ran all these tests. The chimp looked more human-like, which is
Ugh.
blech, and it actually developed like 100-word vocabulary and was actually starting to like, you know, um, figure out like little puzzles that they were giving it.
Yeah, Planet of the Apes right there.
Yeah,
New cryptid unlocked.
Yeah.
but then they ended up putting it down. Like after they
That's
ended up
right.
getting all their
Because
data
they
and
watched
everything, they
Planet
ended
of
up
the
putting
Apes
it
and like,
down.
holy
Wait,
crap,
why?
guys!
Why did they put it down?
I just
No idea. I
Oh, I
I
think
know
know.
that, but what was the reason that they gave in the article?
Caesar.
I can't remember. It was such a long time ago. I'll have to try
Because
to
they
find that
watched
video
Planet
again.
of the Apes. I'm telling you, it's the only reason. It's the only reason.
I feel like the reason why they might have put it down is just so then that way they could have done all their tests and like just kept it for themselves, not release it to the public. I mean, there is a chance that the story itself could be total BS, but like at the same time, I think that's what they want us to believe.
I believe they've done far
know?
more than that.
Oh, I believe
Yeah,
some
there's
just
people getting
absolutely-
experimented right now as we probably speak.
That's right.
and
Heinous, horrible things that have
Yeah.
been done.
I mean, back in like what the early 2000s, we heard about what was that lamb or sheep or whatever that got
Oh,
cloned.
that was cloned.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big topic there for a little bit.
was.
So if
Yeah,
they
I
can
told you about
clone,
that.
yeah, if they can clone animals, then absolutely, I think that they can
I would
do a
really
lot
believe it.
more and
There's
mix
no
DNA.
limit to. It's all Dr. Mendela or like there's what was that book? Something Dr. Monroe's Island. I think Jorge, you were texting about this.
Yep, the Island of Dr. Moreau. I
Yeah,
got the
yeah,
book
Dr.
and I need to finish it.
I've read that. It's chilling because just the description, it's an old text. I think it was written probably 1800s, so a long time ago. And the visual representation of this scientist on this island that was making these half animal, half people, it's just
So
it gives you the heebie-jeebies. And
Yeah.
you just think in your soul, like, this is not supposed to be.
No.
This is an abomination.
Well, there was a
Ugh.
book I remember my teacher telling me about when I was young. I don't remember, but it was about like, so if Hitler was born somewhere else, environment changes your natural habitat and how you act and everything. Like basically, you put Hitler in different parts of the world, he might not have been the way he was or whatever.
Mhm.
I can't remember that book. I wish I knew. I wish I had some way of finding it. Was like I said, I was young. I just remember talking about it, but it was talking about how the environment changes things. I was like, I'm not so
Hey,
sure.
looky
Sometimes
there.
is it so much?
Ray has the
Oh,
book.
there it is.
It was published in
Island of Dr. Moreau.
1896.
Yeah, I've seen that one. I've seen that book. I've heard
Thank you.
heard that somewhere before, but
Thank you.
yeah, it's just one of those things like gene splicing. Like they could do that. You know what I'm saying? I had to
Yeah.
test it, but I'm not saying it would like your environment has anything to do. But I do believe it does.
Oh,
but,
yeah,
but I thought it
absolutely.
was always a cool book to like. Could never remember the name of it. But something similar you said made me think of that the book about the whole being gene splicing and stuff like
Mhm.
that, because it does kind of go around that whole idea of like
Mhm.
that's how they kind of do it. Like I said, I don't know anything about the book other than what my teacher told me when I was young.
Well, I think a lot of the history, just like I talked about the lore around the world, because you remember Jack and the Beanstalk,
Mhm.
That's a
like
good
that, the poem, the childhood story, like fee fi fo fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive or be he dead, I'll have his bones to grind my bread. It's like, dude, they these giants, just even giants, they hate human beings. They hate us,
Mhm.
and
Which would make sense.
it should make sense. And I know some other guy references. So in the Chronicles of Narnia series, um, and the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the first book, I remember Lucy. That's the youngest daughter, I believe.
Yeah.
So when one of the brothers gets separated with the White Witch, and the others are staying with the beavers, right? Because they're talking animals.
Mm.
And I think Lucy is trying to be the voice of reason and saying, "Hey, can't we just go talk to the White Witch? Surely there's some good in her." And I think it's Mr. or Mrs. Beaver says to her, "No." They said she is half Jinn, half giant. There is no good in her. Saying she is like an offspring of two abominations. Like it's no good. And Jinn is like a Middle Eastern word for genie.
Yeah, for Genie.
Yeah, but she is
Yeah.
like evil through and through. And if you actually read the first book of that, the Chronicles of Narnia series, the Magician's Nephew, which I think is probably I think I've read all of them, is the most fantastic one. About there's this magician, his uncle creates this ring, and they go to these different dimensions. That's why it's funny how you correlate all this multiverse stuff you have nowadays. They actually find the White Witch in this realm, and she is a giant too, but she's beautiful, but she's horrifying and all this stuff. But it's not, like you said, you worded that perfectly. Putting blockers on is probably not the best thing to do.
Yeah, you got to be open to any type
That's
of,
right.
you really do in order to like, really see any type of truth.
Yeah.
And, if you put blockers up everywhere, anywhere, you're just really selling yourself
Yeah,
up
you're
for
like, nah, I
doom.
don't believe that. It's like,
Mhm.
why not? I mean, I'm not saying you got to
Right.
commit intellectual suicide by
Hey,
believing
you
everything
got to
you
believe
hear, but
everything. But I mean, like I said, like, we can talk about this stuff. Like, I'm not saying I believe everything, but there's like, okay, well, in the realm of possibility, is it there?
sure.
It's possible, and then like, is it not possible? Sure, but I mean,
I got to tell you, so with history, um, like I said, I looked into the Jersey Devil quite a bit, and I
Mhm.
actually saw this. I'd actually seen because, like, you know how whenever people talk about sightings, there's usually like a blur. Like, there's not really a lot of, there's not really a lot of like sustainable evidence to prove really anything, but like, um, there ended up being a really big event that actually took place over, I would say, 100 years ago now. And I really want to get into that because I think that this is very interesting, if you don't mind.
Go ahead, dude.
So, from the 17 to the 1800s, there were several reports from farmers finding dead livestock, but they didn't really have any clear explanation as to how they died. But they ultimately did end up placing blame on the Jersey Devil, but at this time they said they called it the Leeds Devil. Um, but then in 1909, there was something called it's now referred to as the mass panic of 1909. It was the week the devil was real. This is by Creative History Stories, and this is an article that was published in August 21st of 2020. So, in January of 1909, about a dozen farmers, shopkeepers, and police officers, they went out into the woods to look for the Jersey Devil, and they were armed with revolvers and shotguns along with hunting dogs. And they followed fresh hoof prints in the snow, which were large and cloven in two. And all night for the past several nights, residents of Springfield Township, New Jersey, had heard gut wrenching screeching, and they would hear thudding sounds of hooves landing on their rooftops. And while following the tracks, the group heard high pitched guttural screeches, and beyond the tree line, they caught a glimpse of an enormous winged creature with fiery red eyes. And in this account, it was the head of a horse and the body of a reptile darting past overhead. They opened fire, they shot at it, but they didn't hit it. So during that week in January, which it was from January 16th through the 23rd, there were over 1,000 reports of sightings across New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Delaware.
Wow.
These things occurred as far north as Union, New Jersey, and as far west, as Williamsport, Pennsylvania. And on Sunday of that week, people in Burlington, New Jersey reported seeing the Jersey Devil fly through the air and hop down the street like a kangaroo. So it's interesting that you mentioned that it looked like a kangaroo earlier.
Yeah.
So in Trenton and Gloucester, New Jersey, their schools, offices, and factories were closed for nearly the entire week just out of plain fear. And hundreds of people in Pennsylvania claim to have heard loud banging sounds on the rooftops at night. And people in that city remained behind locked doors all night long. They did not leave their house. The Pennsylvania Zoo even offered a $10,000 reward to anyone who could capture or kill it. Everyone agreed that the creature was about 10 feet tall, giant wings, the body of a reptile, the head of a horse, fiery eyes, and cloven hooves of a devil. And then on January 20th in 1909, the Pennsylvania Inquirer quoted a Trenton resident by the name of Thack Cousins saying, "I heard a hissing and then something white flew across the street. I saw 2 spots of glowing phosphorus eyes of the beast. There was a white cloud like steam of an engine, and then it moved as fast as an auto." And many witnesses claim that the creature was bold enough to walk right up to people's doorsteps, screech and howl, then promptly fly off. After that week, all these sightings that took place across southern and central New Jersey, plus most of eastern Pennsylvania, the sightings just suddenly stopped. And there were no more hoof prints seen in the snow, and no more howling and the screeching were heard in the middle of the night. But, here and there, there's sightings that still occur, even just as recently as 2016. There's even the newspaper article that I found where it has the picture of the hooves in the snow, and it's really interesting.
That's wild.
Yeah.
This may be an unpopular
Wild.
opinion, but maybe Gaston and Beauty and the Beast wasn't all that bad.
Yeah.
He's like, he saw the mirror and he's like, let's kill it.
Yeah.
Because I would react the same if
Yeah.
people were saying that in our town. I'd be
Yeah.
like,
Kill it.
it's time.
That's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I'm just saying, yeah, screeching and flying around. Like, good thing. I mean, I know nowadays anything goes around ARs, like, yeah, that dude's gonna come down. Unless he's just, I mean,
How wild is that?
Do you
That
think
it's
that's what the
stretched from New
Broncos
Jersey,
were?
Delaware, and Pennsylvania.
that's a big, that's a
Dude.
big
Right?
Correlation
Right,
equals
I-
causation.
yeah.
No way.
What?
That'd be insane. If
I think
that's
the
what
house is going to get raided
drones-
any second now. You just
Yeah.
figured it out.
What?
that's
The
what
New Jersey drones, they're looking for the
were.
Jersey Devil.
Something came back
Huh.
up.
Oh my goodness.
New Jersey drones.
I want to
New
believe that.
Jersey.
New Jersey Jones.
Because that would make sense. What else would you be looking for?
Sorry, New Jersey fan.
Yeah.
Dude.
I just have to say it.
That and the Mothman, which I can't believe no one talked about.
I know. I
either.
was
going to.
I was guessing Jorge would pick Mothman, but
I actually almost did. There was a there was a few. I almost mentioned Bigfoot, but I figured I honestly thought somebody was going to choose Bigfoot.
I did too. But I know I had said, like,
You know,
in a text I was going to do
mhm.
Old Nessie,
Yeah.
so I knew I was out of that. But yeah.
I knew no one would do mine, but
Those
between
are all
you and
good.
Jorge, it's a kind of a toss up. You
It's
know?
all right.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I mean,
But
We're good though.
which cryptid would you like to actually see in real life, or one you wish was real?
Mm.
I'll go first. Mine is a unicorn.
Yeah, that'd be cool. But I
That'd be
mean, we
cool.
kind of had the narwhal, so it's like it's definitely believe.
A unicorn?
Yeah, because the narwhals, they have like unicorn bike.
I haven't seen that.
The
No.
narwhal?
Narwhal?
Yeah,
Have you ever seen Elf?
The
the sea creature.
Yeah.
What?
Bye, buddy. Hope you find your dad.
Oh, that thing?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm talking about a unicorn though, like a horse.
I know,
or
I'm
even
just
I'd go with
saying,
a Pegasus.
Yeah, I believe that those
That
are
would be
definitely
cool.
real. Like,
That's mythical too.
yeah.
Well, you had
I'm sure it's
Titans
real.
back in the day, you know what I'm saying?
Titans,
So it could have
right?
been the Giants.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right. I will reference quickly. There is a podcast called Monsters Among Us. A guy named Derek Hayes. He has a really
Oh,
neat show. Oh yeah, where he has people call in and tell their story themselves, which
That's
is
fun.
it's very fun. Now you got to take it with a grain of salt listening to it, but I mean, it's some good stuff. But I did hear one of my favorite ones ever. I don't remember the guy. I don't remember he gave his name, but he's from Mexico. And he said when he was a child, um, he was with a group of people, broad daylight, and he noticed there was a crowd of people around this area. And he made his way through, and there was what he said was a real life Pegasus. It was black, and it was caught its hoof was caught in one of those big traps, like a bear trap that would grab your leg. And no joke, said it was a Pegasus, had wings, and then it got itself out and it flew away. He swears by that story, and I guess his uncle and his father swear by it too.
Holy crap!
They saw it.
And then there's a black Pegasus in Jumanji. Remember that, or Jumanji 2 or something? Or
is it really?
Yeah, wasn't in Jumanji 2 or something like not okay.
Like
so that could be in the
No
third
idea.
one with the Rock.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I
Now.
think
Was it
Danny,
really?
Yeah, I think Danny Glover ended up playing the black Pegasus. Yeah,
Interesting.
it's funny that you say that though, because the fact that it was Pegasus was portrayed as white
Yes.
any other time. So the
Yeah.
fact that he's black almost kind of
The clip was
Funny.
really short, and I thought that's probably one of the wildest things I've ever heard.
And when was this?
I don't
What,
know.
the
This guy,
Jumanji,
this
or-
guy was an adult. He was telling a story, but when he was a child, he saw this. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty wild.
You guys are also aware that narwhals are actually real, right?
Yeah, that's why
Yeah,
why
Okay.
I asked him, but he seems so confused
Okay.
by that.
Yeah, I
Okay.
forgot
Okay.
what
I
know
thought
you-
that because you guys had said a cryptid that you would like to see, so I guess I was under the impression that you
Well, he
weren't.
said unicorn, and I said I don't think that would be a hard one to
But then she went
not
aquatic.
believe in because we have the narwhals.
No, it's still a very cool animal.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
two more things. So the first one, can you name some movies that contain monster human relationships?
Oh,
Okay, now whenever you say that, what do you mean?
Okay, like the big one, Star Wars, is Han Solo and Chewbacca.
Okay, that's what I thought. That's what I thought you meant.
Marley and Me.
Excellent movie.
Turner and Hooch.
Excellent.
What is it? The one with Harry and the Hendersons? Or...
Yeah,
I literally had that. Yeah.
Atreyu and Artex. From,
Jack at the Beanstalk.
yeah, Never Ending
Oh.
Story.
Hey, I put the water horse down because that was about
That's
the
true.
Loch Ness monster. And now it's an excellent
There's-
movie.
There's a movie called Abominable. It's about a little girl befriending a yeti. Like they become.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Another one would be Star Wars too. Where
It's a
you got
good
the
one.
Han Solo and the Empire Strikes Back. What's the
Yeah, I said that. Chewbacca?
Well, he said Chewbacca, but there's also an Abominable Snowman. What are their names in there? Not Abominable, but
You're talking about Ewok?
No, also cool, but what are the when Han gets they're on Hoth, all right, and it gets captured. It's the big old white things. I can't even think of their name.
Oh, I think that was Luke that got.
Yeah, it was Luke. Sorry, Han
Yeah.
saved him. My bad. Sorry, my bad. On backwards on that one, but
I don't know if Han's. I don't know. But yes, I know what you're talking about. How to Train Your Dragon.
Oh yeah. Never ending story.
That's right.
Right around on that dragon dog looking thing.
and he could talk too.
So, as we said in the beginning, we kind of prefaced that Jorge and I had a story. So, to wrap this thing up, so if we've ever seen a real life cryptid, this would be it to my memory, and we had shared this experience together. So just the brief description: we both work midnights at the same place, and we were just outside talking, and it might have been the witching hour, dude. It might have been around 3 a.m.
Yeah.
But I'll tell the first part. Jorge can tell the second, and then we can tell our own personal details. But we were talking, and then all of a sudden, Jorge says, "What is that?" And I turn and look, and then what I see here. You go ahead. You start. Go ahead.
To be honest, I thought that there was an adult male
Yes.
on all
An
fours.
adult naked man, a white
Yes.
Caucasian man, kind of, on
Yeah.
all fours, walking naked.
What's wrong with that?
But what happens next? Go ahead, dude.
So he was under there was a street lamp
Yes.
like right above him, or it, and I think in the next moment I just saw this thing just like take off on all fours. But that's my recollection. I can't. Maybe you
So
have.
yeah. So he says, "What is that?" So I snap my head and I look. What I initially see just before it kind of gets streetlit was a naked man. I swear I saw his butt cheeks. I'm not kidding. Like crawling on fours. He was a
See
big
a lot of
dude.
men's butts.
And then when it goes into the light, I see the biggest wolf, because we don't have wolves, we have coyotes.
right.
The biggest wolf I have ever seen in my life. Because we can kind of, what do you think it was? Maybe 60 feet from us? Probably.
It was across. Yeah, I mean, it was on the other side of the street.
Yeah. And it trots across the street in the and it is massive. And it's just huge. And then what do? We start chasing it on foot. So we run and we get to the street. In my memory, there's like a
You guys are chasing a potentially naked male down the street.
no, it's not a male anymore. It's
Okay.
a wolf now. Like
Oh.
the biggest wolf I've ever seen.
Biggest naked wolf.
I mean, it's huge.
It's
And
Jacob from
we
Twilight.
it takes off. Yeah, it could have been. It takes off, and there's like a doctor's office or something across the street. And we stop and it turns around. I remember it turns at us, and you shine your flashlight at it, and it has that diamond shaped head, and its ears
Yeah,
are straight
okay.
up like this. I mean,
Mhm.
it just looks right at us, and then it just keeps going. But the weird part was we felt weird about it, and the fact that we both saw a naked man crawling on all fours, and then it turned into what I saw was a wolf, and then it takes off. I mean, we didn't even know how to process that at first because we
Yeah.
both saw it.
Because even just like recalling the story now, I think I even said like, "Dude, what the heck did we just see?"
Skinwalker.
Yeah, it was really hard for me. I think it's still kind of hard for me to process, and not only that, I have kind of a terrible memory.
Well, I remember looking at research. I just thought there was a naked guy, and then it turned into a wolf, but it was just massive, and then it just runs across the street. But the fact that we both saw it, and I think when you see strange things, your mind is trying to process within your knowledge that you have. Like it's scanning, like what is that? What is that? What is that? And then it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, you're trying to think. You're thinking inside the realm of possibility when your mind's trying to process something on
That's
the
right.
realm outside.
You're
of the
trying to
possibility
rationalize what's
of
happening.
your
Were you-
possibility. You think what you think's possible.
Were
Sorry.
you guys under the influence?
We were not.
No,
We were not.
They were under the influence of work
Jeez.
and coffee.
Yes,
Very interesting.
but it was. It
Well,
was
even if they
bizarre.
were, for two guys if they were under the influence, all right, and they happen to see the same thing, I'm just gonna say it. That's some good stuff. Whatever they're
We
doing.
both saw it, and it's the same account. I mean, that's what's
Yeah.
weird about it. It's not like he saw something and I saw something.
Yeah.
It was like there's a naked dude crawling on all fours.
Well, I'm just saying, you guys take
and he's
something and makes you see
very-
the same thing.
He's very good at it. And then he goes through this part and goes in the light, and it turns into like a giant wolf. And we don't have wolves around here. I mean, I've been to a wolf park. I can't remember if it's somewhere in Indiana, but I mean, I've seen a real wolf, and
they're big.
2 or 3 times bigger than that. It's massive.
That's insane.
you know, now that I'm recalling the story, I don't even think I even remember it taking off. I think it just being gone.
Well,
and us like
it
looking
just
for it.
trotted off, and then I remember looking back at us because you shined your light at it. But I remember how large its head, this diamond shaped head, just staring right at it, like it pierced your soul, and then
Yeah,
it was gone.
yeah. I remember it
You don't
looking.
even know what to say. You just thought,
Yeah.
you're like, did that just
It's
happen?
wild.
I remember it
I
looking
never
back
saw
at
anything
us.
like that. Like the
I
amount of
know.
times I walked out by myself and saw nothing.
Well, I feel
My
like
life is lame.
we had some creepy conversations where we walked out sometimes.
Yes,
you
that
were
is
like,
very
you're
true.
like, look, guys, I got to drive home.
You're right. I was not a brave girl, but there were a lot of times I had to walk out by myself.
I know.
Um,
We should know.
Yeah, that's fine.
But
There are
hey,
no wolves.
because it's not a wolf. It's a
man.
werewolf.
Man bear,
I don't know. It was
man bear pig.
It was
I
an,
ju-
it was
just,
an
I'm
experience.
just, it's a little bit annoying, or the amount of times like being out on the balcony and not saying anything.
I know.
It's weird.
Well, didn't you actually have a conversation with somebody about like what we saw about wolves, and then like maybe it must have been someone you worked with or something, and they were like, "Oh yeah, I think I might have seen a wolf too," or something like that.
Yeah, you're right. There are some people that claim they have seen a wolf. I've seen a
Some
what
butt
do-
cheeks. We know you've seen some butt
I
cheeks.
saw some butt cheeks.
That's kind of the most impressive thing. You like, hey, went from butt cheeks to a wolf real quick.
It just he transformed somehow, but we like weird animal sightings right here. So yeah, there were some guys that I think they were hunters that said they've seen a wolf
Mhm.
or like some kind of apex coyote, which it would be rare. But what are those? Like an emu. I've seen an emu here.
Mhm.
There's a
Really?
property- Yes, I have. It was several years ago. I was walking my dogs, and it was like beginning of winter, big snowflakes. And I looked, and it was once again, your mind is. I was like, it was a tall bird, long legs. It had like the kind of the scaly, flat, and long neck, and it just stood there. And I thought my dogs thankfully didn't see it because they would have taken off. And it just looked at me. It was in the middle of a cornfield, and it just took off, and it had that like ostrich trot to it. Just this super fast, just ran that way, didn't fly away. I just thought, we don't have those around here. And then I remember telling that story to a woman. She's in her late 70s or maybe early 80s now, but she said her husband saw one back in the day too. And just like black panthers, I have some friends. They're both farmers that have seen a black panther.
Yeah, I think people have
Yeah.
sighted those for sure.
So there are
I
some
mean,
weird
we had
stuff,
'em-
but
yeah.
never a person turning into
never
a
a
wolf.
werewolf.
Yeah.
On such a campus like that.
Yeah.
You should.
Crazy
We're just gonna
fantasy.
hunt them down. We're just gonna run
Did
after
you-
them.
Did you ever
Kill
check
it.
reports to see if like someone else like reported that?
That would have been that probably would have been a good idea, but I think with where I was working and with the lack of resources that I had,
Yeah.
I don't think that would have been possible.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
We
like,
wouldn't
if-
have gone very
Yeah.
far, probably.
'cause it-
No,
like,
because with where I worked, we didn't have we didn't really have, all we had was Microsoft Word to, you know, we did not have, that's how we wrote our reports.
Word.
So like we did not have the system that we should have had.
Yeah. I'm sure the DNR might have been curious to know what we saw, but even then,
What's what I'm wondering? How many people saw a naked man? Just
that's where they would
walking on all
probably
fours?
dismiss us as a
No,
okay,
but I
well,
mean, not if so many people reported it in one night. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Yeah, but luckily we
know.
live in a big city, so not like, hey, we've seen 40 people seen one naked man. You know?
yeah.
Well, maybe me and James were the only person that saw it.
And you didn't see the
Maybe.
butt cheeks, Jorge?
You guys were the chosen two.
I saw, from what I saw, was it was like the side, it was the side
see.
profile
It's a side cheek.
at first,
But when
and then
Sorry.
whenever it came
Yes,
under the
okay.
light, I think what I remember is like whenever it came under the light, and then it was like a wolf. That's whenever it like turned and looked in our direction, and that's whenever we saw like that diamond.
You sure didn't have
You
like
know,
a manly
crazy.
butt for like
but
a
that's
wolf?
the
and-
thing
yeah.
though. When he says he saw it first, I was looking at him when he said, "What is that?"
Did you see a hairy butt?
That's what's off about it.
What?
No,
Oh.
No,
Nope.
just he didn't know
I'm
what it
confused.
was. That's when
Yeah.
I thought.
like it looked like look, whenever I first saw it, it looked like just straight up skin
Yeah,
from a human.
human
It
skin,
did not
yes.
have.
So it wasn't
It
a
didn't
hairy
have a
butt.
hairy butt. It didn't have a hairy face.
Okay.
It was.
I
It
was
was,
just
the
wondering.
body
big,
of a
naked dude.
adult.
It's like
clawing
saying
very
hairy
well
butt.
on his hands and feet.
That's so
Yes.
disturbing.
Yeah,
Hmm,
but
that's crazy.
yeah, once in a lifetime.
Right.
I
kind of
never
thing.
knew that story.
Now I have to walk or I have to drive home by myself tonight.
Hashtag Wolfman.
It happened just right down the road. What are you talking about?
I
Yeah.
know. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
It's fine. It's not dark outside.
Werewolves of
I'll be looking out though. That would be interesting to see.
yeah.
All right. Well, this has been fun. This was a great episode. I loved it. But that was another episode with the Milkhouse crew. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you heard, please don't forget to follow, leave a review, and share with friends and family. Peace out.
Thank you.
Bye.
bye.